real-time detection systems that this person is going off the rails, right? Like this person is going into psychosis or is going into some harm. And you need to have that in place if you want to create those things. So they're not saying you can't make them. They just raise the bar and the liability of you doing that. And then in turn, all the big companies like Alibaba and Tencent, they a year ago, they were like, oh, you can create your own like companion, you know? They just pulled it because they're like, yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth our.
That's also because China's like was very early to like delivering AI to children,
Yes.
like toys everywhere. And then also China has very like it's not about like mental health isn't like regulated, but there's liability industry around anything around counseling, therapy, spiritual gurus.
Yeah.
I think we have a friend here who talked about that last week. Like anything like that, any kind of like counseling or life coaching, you have massive liabilities. So that's how they keep people out of those sectors.
Yeah.
Is you can just sue your therapist.
Wow.
If they make you feel bad. That's actually like the whole like.
Not helping enough.
Yeah.
Or
That's a-
sue, they can just put you in jail.
Yeah. Re-education camp. They don't have jail.
All right, let's move on. Sorry, the internet dropped here in this room, so I had to switch to my phone. And we are live streaming this. Okay, next. So new models hit the scene. This was last week. I know last week there was so much hype, or especially around the end of the week. We couldn't do Saturday. So here we are to sort of unload all of your excitement. So let's go into it. I know we already touched a little bit on it, but there's a lot. There's so much that came out in the last 2 weeks. So GPT 5.6, obviously the 3 models from that family. We have the Grok 4.5, which has some interesting controversy behind it as well that happened in the week. That's captured later in the slides. There was actually Muse Spark from Zuckerberg, and what's the story there? That he came out of hibernation, 3-year hibernation on Twitter, and made a post about this model. And there are actually some other models. I think they're in the other slides. It's the other open source ones. But just to talk on this one, or to talk on these here, because this can take up a whole hour. Let's get into it. So I know we don't give enough love to talking about GPT, but they have done so many updates. There's even a slide here on platform updates from GPT. There's so many. But just while we're here on this slide, I'd love to hear anyone's feedback on what 5.6 has been like for you. I know on the internet it has been very rocky. When it first came out, lots of things happened, right? There was sort of people getting their machines RMF'd. There was like getting your tokens usage maxed out within 20 minutes. There was a lot of controversy around Ultra, was it Ultra Max or Ultra? Ultra, yeah. And
It's their copy of Anthropic's Ultra mode. So.
yeah, exactly, yeah. If you take the slider all the way to the right.
They even disabled it by default, so you can't find it unless you turn it on.
Yeah, so, but in general, just curious what anyone's take is on 5.6.
Well, who uses it here first? Like, raise hands.
Did anyone build anything with it?
Yep. Yeah.
Let's do the first question. Who uses 5.6 in here? Half the room. Okay. And who built something that they're also, just first question, who built something with it?
Does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does any of you guys want to share?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the first.
1, 2.
Okay.
1, 2. Yeah.
All right. So the first thing I realized is you really have to dial in the effort setting. So if you put it too high, like for the implementation, so I have Claude doing a lot of the planning, but it does basic plans, and then Codex did a lot of the implementation this week. And the first thing I realized,
So technically, that you didn't actually use like in the same
Codex reviews
Right.
the plan, but I use Codex basically mostly for implementation. Some tasks I gave Codex directly as well, was fine. But the big takeaway for me this week is that if I really have to dial down the effort level in Codex, that it's working actually fast enough and decent enough. And I mean, I'm pretty much whenever I can fully back to Claude, to be honest, and just do the whole thing with Table. But yeah, that's basically my takeaway. If it stays like this, I'm not gonna have this big plan for Codex. I just bought it like a week ago because I'm panicked Table goes away. So
Okay, interesting. Yeah, you want to share?
Yeah, we talk about GPT GPT 5.6. Yeah, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So mostly I use it for review, for some text updates, because like I try to optimize some requests to code and use GPT for additional review for some fixes. When I don't want to ask too much code, I just use ChatGPT 5.6, and sometimes also use for review. But for review, sometimes ChatGPT 5.6 need to explain. No need to like to review too strictly, because when you do review with 5.6, it makes like how to say too useless comments, like, and you start to do
Theoretical scenarios.
very deep detailization of your architecture. It's no need for your solution, and you try to do some instruction for like for reducing like this amount of review.
It was a,
Sorry for interrupting. Which one did you use?
okay, yeah.
Which one of the three? And you two?
Sol,
Yes, Sol.
5.6 Sol, and
Okay.
for me it turned out actually, which I didn't mention, is high is a good setting. Actually, if you do extra high or anything else, it's
Oh, it's
way too
impossible.
long. It's crazy. Like, forget about it.
Did you use Salt too, or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
5.6 medium high.
Medium high, and Sol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did anybody use the full harness itself, like planning plus building? So,
Yeah, I did. One thing I noticed is way to trigger happy, invoking scales, invoking tool calls.
Agent.
4 and 5.5, I would explicitly have to say use this skill. On 5.6 Sol, it was just invoking skills, I was never intending it to invoke.
So it doesn't invoke the skills on the harness. They created a you can turn this off. There's mandatory skill force, and so literally before, like 2 weeks ago, it would just regex, and a model had the option. There's a toggle setting to say it doesn't force it anymore. It's like, I'll post it in the chat if you want it. But literally, if any skill matches, it will force it to, and it causes loops, and that's one of the worst like effects. So.
Yeah, so I did notice this, but I did also notice I can be more retarded in the prompts. Like it does understand what I'm trying to achieve, and it does finish the job. It doesn't go off the rails with the skills.
How many resets did you use?
Just one. But on top of the reset they gave us.
Yeah. Yeah, the resets have been handing out like candy. We'll get to that as well. Does anyone else want to share their 5.6 experience here?
Yeah, so same like you, I'm using for like planning and implementation and thing. I noticed actually Codex is disabled, like it will always use the Git Nexus index, and actually like query and like plan things like way more than Fable. That's one thing it just happens when I have a Golang repo that's I'm using it. And then
I put out a release for Git Nexus this week, actually.
Yeah, it's like
I shipped like a bunch.
I saw you pushing a lot of fixes to it. Yeah. And compared to 5.5, same like you, I'm able to just like blah, just do this, make a plan, and then I actually review the plan. I've been reviewing the plans with Fable this last week, and it's been, to be honest, it's been mostly okay. Like not huge like misses or. And 5.6 is like it's a lot more detailed in planning than Fable for me. One problem that I had, which I think you mentioned last week, earlier this week, Andrew, and now I see it, is like I had a few moments where like I gave a goal to like 6 based on a plan that's already written as one file in the report, and it just went off like batshit crazy, like started to implement the world and fix the world and all that shit. And I had to kind of like revert all that with Fable. But it happened a few times. Like most of the other times, and I already used like 2 resets on top of like whatever we got. Most of the other times it's been okay-ish. But yeah, it's like those few times when it just went on and like fixed the world, that kind of like lowered my confidence and like just giving it and like, yep, it's fine, it's gonna be okay. Because I think like Fable for me just stops from implementing fully the thing, so I can go in and be like, okay, review this plan, how was it implemented okay, if not like fill in the gaps. That's kind of like easier than undoing like the mess, like even if it's a few times, like when GPT 5.6 goes off the rails, that's much harder to deal. I feel so. It's like it lowered my confidence in. But so now I'm still keeping both. I have like 5.6 at Fable.
Have you tried 5.6 in Claude Code?
No, actually, I was looking at start Claude Code with OpenAI like backend or how.
There's multiple ways you do it. I use orchestration mode where it just calls it directly in. And
Oh, I see. Yeah, I have that. So yeah, that works.
But
Is this the reason for the Cloud Code system reminder, the task notification, and all this stuff that get injected in the wheel? I mean, did it do
Sorry.
because of that?
I can't hear you.
In Cloud Code, they added this thing recently that it injects in the middle of the context task reminder
Oh,
or system
they
reminder.
did, and they ripped it right back out. Like there was something they injected a couple days ago. I haven't looked at it. It was causing people to spend a lot more tokens. I saw someone posted about it on X, and I noticed my tokens were going down a lot. But I think they released a patch a couple hours later to pull it out. There was some
Yes.
kind of additional
Yeah.
something they added in.
Like literally yesterday, for me yesterday went from like 70% to like 10% like that. I don't know what happened, and I had to use like 2 resets.
I think it's still broken because like I can usually run Fable Orchestrator for days, like multiple projects, like because it's using GPT series and everything for any execution. But it's been going down a lot. Like I run out like in 2 hours, I run out of my 5 hour on one account. So I think it's still broken, but it's not as fast as it was a couple days ago.
Didn't they rip out the 5-hour account? Or 5-hour thing for
For
a bit?
Anthropic?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, so,
Codex, yeah.
Codex is removing the 5 hour thing moving forward.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I just,
yeah.
my whole thing of like all of this though is like I think about like if it takes this many resets to get anything done with the new models, like that's a huge
We're beta
issue.
testers.
Yeah, we're beta testers on it, but
Yeah.
like I just don't know how we can move forward. Even my Fable, like I've spent around 30 billion tokens in the last week. You see me ranting in the fucking chat, and like on just on like GPT. And I have a ton of accounts. I have like 20 accounts. I'm moving them over to Fable because I'm just like Fable is just it's able to efficiently do stuff. And then my orchestrator was like, I don't want to use 5.6 anymore because like, it takes me too long to do stuff. It was like I tell 5.5, it gets it done. I need exactly this done, and I don't want to use 5.6. Because 5.6 is like 2 hours in, and it's going to burn too many tokens on Fable waiting for it. And so even if you try to give it like direct, like the Fable orchestrator is having a lot of problems. Like I have the guardrails. I told it to do exactly this, and it came back with like, oh, here's these other 300 lines of code. Like this is just some. If you have 10,000 users, maybe you need this. It's like this is for a solo fucking user.
Doesn't it go into how the models were trained? I posted about it, depending on the keywords you use. You know, it wants to. It's been trained on all the like enterprise.
Yeah, there's a lot of
GitHub
enterprise.
repos. So when you say like production ready or whatever, it's going to
Oh,
do
right, yeah.
everything.
Or you say
possible.
GA.
It's going to have any try catch multiple things, and as a human, we wouldn't write that. So like depending on the words you use, you get that kind of bloat.
Yeah.
You know.
Andrew, I'm not sure I understood. So when you reason about guardrails, how do you, when is it useful to have them and when not? Because now you talked about Claude Code plus ChatGPT. Is it?
So guardrails is like it's like the sandbox, right? So some people think about guardrails as like safety, right? There's like safety guardrails, like emotional, and then there's just guardrails for the agent to keep it from going off the like the wall. Like so, Codex, for example, ripped out all of the like literally think about lanes, right? So I was talking about the maze earlier. Like Codex is trying to move to like okay, the agents know enough and they're going to stay on track on their own, and we don't need to remind them, we don't need to hook them, and like but we've seen this exactly break, right? When they remove those, the sub-agents are going off and doing whatever they want. They're spawning more agents. They're adding new things. I ran like 3,000 agents. 10% of them just started coding on other projects. Like they literally just went to other projects and started working on other repos. Like not even related. I even had some agents go and work on other people's projects. Like literally, I had like a couple comments like, "Hey Andrew, why did you send this PR for this?" Like for Ladybug. That happened this morning. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I said.
So why do you think they're removing these guardrails? What's their theory?
They're AGI filled, right? So like their whole thing, I get in fights with the Codex team all the time because their whole thing is like our models, and this comes from Sama, right? His whole point is like the models should be good enough when we release it that it can do everything itself. It doesn't need tools. It doesn't need a harness. It can just run and build itself.
But this is tracking the findings of what Anthropic has basically, what they've discovered. And we heard this many weeks ago from Ian's visit to Japan, where the Anthropic team not only talked to him and told him this, but ever since then, in all of their public videos, they have continually said this. Actually, there was a recent video from Tariq that came out this week And what they call it is they call it unhobbling the model, which means get out of the model's way. And it's what it effectively is. It's the same thing that the Pi harness community has basically discovered. Turns out when you just like don't give all these instructions and sort of guardrails, or you remove all the don't do this, don't do that, the model just does better, right? So Pi harness, the magic of Pi harness was like have absolutely nothing and go at it. And it turns out that the model did really well. So removing guardrails is effectively the same thing. Get out of the model's way. We knew that for Fable, they said this many times, 80% of the system instructions were removed. That's how they got better usage out of it. And I know they didn't announce it, but at some point they removed instructions out of Opus and Sonnet, and it got like it ended up doing tasks, let's say long horizon tasks, much longer than they normally would have. So that's what unhobbling the model refers to.
But it sounds like it's not working very well.
Well, it's different models.
I think it's more, I will attribute to troubleshooting. Anthropic has locked this in. They've had enough time, they have months to lock this in. I think OpenAI are sort of scrambling around, trying to very quickly catch up, because they definitely are behind model-wise. And so this is what, I'm looking at this like, they have to find the problems, sort of let them come up, everyone has to deal with them, and then they have to solve them. So they haven't solved them yet. So
isn't that like a really good way for them to like rip everything out? It goes nuts.
yes.
Yeah, and then as they fix
Yeah.
it.
We call it, you call it, there's many words for this. You call it a scream test. It's like, look, we don't need this thing here. If we remove it, it's going to be a problem. But you know what? We need to remove it. Let's just see how loud the screams are.
Yeah.
And then that will also identify like where the problem points are. So absolutely yes. Like you just have to do it though, right? In order to find the problem.
There's two ways of doing it. One's in testing and one's in.
I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were going to say this. And I will bring up that look at the video game industry, where the video game industry basically has come to this conclusion.
Day one patch.
Well, it's like there's only so much you can do in house.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's not until you do the big launch day that all of a sudden like all the problems come out. And I think that's like unavoidable. So you sort of have to calculate that like, all right, at some point we just got to go, and it's going to be bad, but we'll have our 24-hour team.
Their users as guinea pigs to a certain
1,000%.
Oh yeah.
And your code, like.
Well, you could like roll it out, like feature flags, so you
Opt in.
yeah,
And I imagine not only have they done that, but I also imagine that it's been rolled into their whole marketing department, because you can see, going back to the whole resets, how they're handing it off like candy. I think that's like planned.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we're going to anticipate a shitload of problems, but we need to see them in order to solve them.
Yeah.
And so in order to mitigate that backlash that we're anticipating, we'll just like, how many, I have a slide. I didn't want to get to it yet, but there was like, let's see,
I found the Codex models like
9 reset usages from GPT.
like
9.
Anthropic, they kind of make sane defaults and it kind of works for the majority of users, but I found with Codex you really need to like curate an agent's MD that works for you.
Yeah.
You can't just, it'll kind of do a bunch of weird things, like it'll do your vibe coding and it'll be like, no, you're SAP, like you need all these tests and everything. It's like, okay, agents MD, I don't need all that crazy stuff, or like, you really need to tweak it, so.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still the same what we've been saying for months, right? Claude Code is more like your coding buddy. You figure things out together, or like even if you go off the path you want to go, like you can steer it back. But with GPT, it's like you have to be so detailed upfront. It's what you said. It's kind of autistic.
The German engineer.
It's not fun. I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's like, yeah, maybe GPT or Codex delivers better results, but it's not fun for me. Like, this is not the way I work, and maybe I need a little bit more time with Claude Code to come to the same results, but the process is like how I like to work, how that fits better in my workflows, like iterative work as opposed to, I will invest days in planning with GPT, and yeah, like my workflow is more iterative, like that works a lot better for me.
Like, do you-
I have the feeling Codex doesn't have a desire to go into that direction. Like
Yeah.
with that new models, it's still the same, it's still a pain in the ass, it's not fun, it's frustrating, and
We talked about this last year in the 4Cs,
Yeah.
where the difference between Claude and Codex was like, Claude was like you would give it this one sentence task,
Yeah.
and it would do a little bit of extra. It would do these little nice to haves for you without you asking, and you had to. And on the Codex side, it was like, as you said, German engineer. It's like you ask for this, that's what you get,
Yeah.
and it was up to you to determine like, well, I'm doing this project, so which of these options do I want? As opposed to like, I'm just a diehard Claude fan. No, it should be you're an engineer. You're gonna pick something because there's a reason behind it. So getting that, and we refer to this as model intimacy, right?
Yeah.
The models operate differently. You should know intimately why, and therefore you would have your decision tree on why you're picking one over the other.
One of the questions I have is like, how good is 5.6 at planning? How readable are the plans? 5.6, have they made any improvements there?
It's really good at planning. And for evals, I was telling you last week about this, for running evals and benchmarks, it does beat Fable. For like designing them out, like I've been running
Fable
benchmarks.
sucks.
Fable can be good at it if it like knows what you're trying to do with the evals and benchmarks. I assume, because mine has memories and set up, so mine's just what I do, and I don't have to give it many skills or anything. But 5.6 and the evals, but the problem is it can go into an eval for 2 days without telling you it's going to be a 2-day eval. Like I was trying out a local model on one of my Gex servers, and I was like, hey, let's just test this versus the other one. 3 days. Like, and I had to like what it's like, well, no, this is going to take 3 days. I've created 150 scenarios. I'm going to run it through this. I'm going to test every single context, and we can publish this. I'm like, I just wanted to see if this would work on my Gex server. It was the new, it was like 3.6, and I was just testing it versus another. And it just did that on its own. And I have so many threads going, I didn't notice it. But billions of tokens. Fable, on the other hand, I said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to test it on the Gex server, not a problem. I actually train models and everything through Fable server. I would never do that with my 5.6. But it's not that it's bad at it. It actually is very enterprise. And the thing that I was saying earlier is I don't dislike 5.6. It actually builds stuff how it probably should be built for enterprise. And it's just who can afford those tokens. I compared how my usage was. It was like $200,000 in API tokens for this last week if I'd done it that way. Who has that? And for the same amount of dollars I spent on accounts on Codex, I'm literally switching them over to Fable accounts now. The only issue is Fable accounts, you have to copy over the threads and stuff every time. But literally I just get way more done with it.
What model are you liking 5.6? I probably don't use it, but if you were to use it, what of their 3 models?
I use
what
them.
Effort?
Oh, the effort, definitely not Ultra or Max. That's if you want the plan, only in planning mode. Actually, one of the issues, your plans might be really strong. The default setting on the TOML is X high, Sol, for all plans. Even if your model is not in Sol, if you're in Luna or something like that, it will actually default to X high. You can turn that off. I thought it was good for day one. I was like, oh, this is a nice feature, but it's going to make your plans very intensive. That's one of the other features. You actually might want to have your plan be low or medium. I hate to even say that because I don't like low or medium, but otherwise your plan might be a 3-week plan. Actually, it used to. You remember the models used to be oh, this will be 3 weeks to do. No, Sol's serious about it.
I think we're seeing a lot in the last 2 weeks, especially some graphs that you have posted, some that you have posted in the chat that I've seen, and then I saw in the wild that overthinking seems to be a real phenomenon. The models can overthink, and they literally get dumber. Is I guess a word to capture what's happening, but their success rate on a task goes down when you're in that X high or max, or in the case of Ultra.
I would say the scope. I would say about success. It's more like scope. You don't realize the scope. You in your mind have a scope of something, and I think of max as maximum scope.
Is it scope creeping, or is it just?
No, just scope, enterprise. I think max is enterprise scope. Like that's how I think of it, is like, oh, if I want to use max, it's enterprise scope. Or ultra is going to be enterprise scope, and I'm building a product for 1 million users. Low is like MVP or beta, and that's the scope level I think of. And it works better that way.
I think there's going to be nuance here. Anthropic released a guide this week on effort levels and what they mean, and also how they're building the model, how they're growing these models to match with effort level. And from what I'm hearing off of that, if that is true, like
I'm only speaking of Codex, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah.
The problem is it does not translate everywhere.
So effort levels, I think we're going to have a fork here. Effort levels is going to be something different from Claude versus GPT. So effort levels in Claude at the moment sort of means number of steps that the model should or shouldn't take. It's actually this like huge index of like all these sort of different attributes. I have a link in one of the slides of what Anthropic is, when they cultivate these models and they match them to like effort levels, they are saying like, if you're picking this effort level, it means all these things. And if you're going to this effort level, it means these things. And it's now a case where you should definitely not be picking high, X high all the time. Not a good idea. For the Claude world. And for GPT, I think they still have to find their footing, honestly. I think they're going to play with that a lot.
Didn't they have, they increased the context length when they launched Soul? It was like 350 some thousand. And they had to roll it back down to like 270 or 280 recently.
So that's because they didn't catch a bug in the API. So all API, like tokens over like what, 272, basically anything over that has like a 50% extra charge. And they said, they were like, I had this fight with Thibault, and I was like, he was like, bro, no, it's not, like, it's fine, like, it doesn't do the same thing on the Codex side. No, it did. It was charging. That's one of the reasons. There's a bunch of bugs why it was happening, but one of the reasons was as soon as you went over 272, like basically anywhere in the 300 range, you were getting charged twice the token cost, like it does in the API.
That's the bug.
And that was the bug.
Yeah.
And they can't fix it without like a massive change to the system, so they rolled everybody back to 272. So
lots of bugs. Okay, I'm going to move on to, because we have so much, we still have the platform updates of the actual harness that this is part of the new format. I want to make sure we talk about like specific harness updates. Before we get there, last slide on the weights. This is just interesting. So Inkling came out. This is the company from Mira Murata, the girl who left, correct me if I'm wrong, OpenAI, ended up getting an absurd amount of money. Didn't really hear much for her for a while, and now they come out with this new model. It's an open source model with open weights, US, 1 trillion. What's the size? Was it 1 trillion?
I think it's 1 trillion.
It's just under what? It's like 900 billion.
900. So about 1 trillion parameters.
And the point is it's like it's not meant to be a general model. It's meant to be a trainable model.
Yeah.
Which is
fully trainable
what
to your business.
Their core product is a tool called Tinker, which is made for training models.
Have you played with it yet?
Yeah, I played with it.
975 billion parameters. You can go to their website. It's like this one. There actually is a playground where you can play with it. You can, try it out. And as Ian was pointing out, this is meant to be sort of like a hackable, customizable thing moving forward. Just an interesting thing playing out.
I mean, it's the first really big. I mean, it's compared to Nematron or any of those other ones. It's the first really interesting one that's close to. It's still nowhere near like Opus level models, but it's close, and it's so close that if you take it and then you do train it,
it's going to be better at whatever you train.
It'll be better at the specific tasks. So.
But you can't buy it yet, right? You can't. Or is
yeah, you can use it.
No, you can use it, but is there like token based, like API? I thought it was only trial.
No, it's token based. Yeah, because I know I played with it through Vercel's AI.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay, I thought it was only Playground. So.
Yeah, I thought it was only in Playground too, but it's not.
Yeah, their site didn't have anything like about how to do anything. Like I was looking for like a sign up or something outside of the Playground. So.
I think what we're looking forward to here is just.
You can use the AI gateway in Vercel and they have access to it. I don't know who else does.
There's been a lot of talk about cost and frontier models. I won't go too deep into it because it will go into the political side, but it's important to just know like what's on the field, what's available. Earlier we talked about K3, we talked about China policy. What if they cut you out? You'll need to figure that out in your head on what level of risk you want there when you make your decisions. Should I use this open model or that one? So the important thing for the Westerners was like, what options do the Westerners have? So it's just good to know that there is some showing up. When I say some, I guess one. One.
There was another company a couple months ago.
Isn't this different from other Chinese model in terms of it's not a distilled version of other frontier models? This is kind of like
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Yeah, that is correct.
That would
yeah.
be a big difference. Even a lot of the models being released by other countries and stuff are just distilled models. But you know.
Yeah, I was wondering, does anyone here? I mean, I think Andrew, you run a server, right, for the model, the GLM.
5.2, yeah.
So, do other people do this here as well? Because I really would look forward to a time where I just pay a fixed price and have my server and, you know, run all the things on that. Anyone running a server? Only
the problem is the cost. Like, one of the things people were talking about with Kimmy is a lot of people were like, oh man, I'm paying $20 and I don't get enough usage. I'm like, bro, like 8 H100s, that's $50,000 a month to do that. Like that's how much the cost of rental will be just if you did run prod. So $20 is pretty good. Like the crazy level of subsidization on that, like I just think people realize the cost of some of those. But GLM 5.2, someone released like a 25 gigabyte and then a GPU only model last week, and I mean I've tested it. It runs like 7 tokens a second or something. I don't know. So
yeah, I was going to say that we were having this conversation before the meetings that I think this is an inflection point, like it's a trend that's just starting, which is that you have the open models actually competing at the level, like Kimmy K3. You know, you can say all you want about it's too slow and blah blah blah. You have gripes about it, but what they're saying is that it's competitive with Fable under the right conditions, right? So if you're not subsidized and etc. So it's a pathway, and maybe there's lots of friction. Maybe it costs you a lot of money, whatever. Yeah. And it makes more sense that you're gonna use Anthropic for now because it's VC funded and they're pouring shitloads of money. They're gonna go IPO, and maybe that gravy train will keep going. Those $5 Uber rides, right? But the question here, and I think it's important for Inkling, is this is a governance topic. So in other words, I have a company, I'm the CTO, or we're like spending a shitload of money on tokens, yes? And it used to be an experiment for AI, but now it's like, oh, this is real. The more money I pour into this input, the more money we make out on this side, right? So now we have to protect our money, our investment. Yes? So what if Anthropic shuts it down? What if the US government shuts it down? What if suddenly it gets degraded?
Yeah.
Something happens. This is essential to our business now, right? You know? So we can't just have that ungoverned. Maybe they're going to steal all our IP, like Satya Nadella said from Microsoft, right? Or the Palantir CEO goes. So now it's a governance issue where there's someone sitting in there and go, well, what's the liability of this? How much? What's the risk? And if it fucks up, how much is it going to cost us? Yes? Well, do we have a plan B or plan C? Are we going to switch over? And if we are, what choices do we have?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you could use Kimmy K3. Well, it sucks. You have to build your own infra for that. Well, maybe we can do it. At least it's a path, right? We're not cool with Chinese models because of ABC, whatever. Okay, now we can use Inkling.
Yeah.
You know, and this is like a whole space and a whole market that's going to open up to address basically governance issues of risk management, you know?
Yeah.
Well, everyone always looks at it, they're like, it's not Fable quality. I'm like, well, that's not, like, that, Fable is a really good, you don't need Fable for most tasks. Like, I don't use Fable for anything but strategy.
It could be Fable quality for this specific task.
For a specific task, yeah, exactly.
But that you train it to do.
Yes.
Yeah, but getting to these fixed prices, like fixed cost a month for certain, like for your own infrastructure, I'm really looking forward to that time.
Well, also like gaming, right? Like earlier, like Next.js, like you can train it to be specifically good on what you need it to do, right?
Mira's whole argument is that a smaller model that's highly fine-tuned will do better than a broad model for.
Because there's going to be gaps in the understanding, right? I can't wait to see what the Chinese do with this. So, like literally, they're the king of getting it to run on a potato.
And
So-
the interesting thing about this one is the monetary strategy. Is like Inkling is actually like it's fully open source. It's not only open weight, it's open source. So, but the key is they're gonna launch Tinker as an FDE product.
Yeah.
So the idea is that they're gonna walk into companies and say, we can fine tune Inkling in
And do it
your
for you.
company for your specific needs for 9 figures.
Yeah.
And that's where the money's gonna be made from Thinking Machine.
Well, and they probably are even betting on the Chinese to make it better and easier. They then take it back and they say, okay, great, now we can run it on these servers. You don't need this, right? Like I see that that's honestly a product strategy at this point.
Yes.
Like,
The training harness is something they sell you. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
go nuts.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing essentially. Like Tinker is kind of actually the real product is Tinker.
Yes.
You know, the model is specifically trained to work with Tinker,
Yeah.
so you can do that kind of
Well,
stuff.
because at the end of the day, you're gonna need to pay tokens to train it.
A
And
lot,
like,
yeah.
setting all that infra is a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
So-
managed infra, managed
Yeah,
So
training.
she's finally gonna use that $100 billion she got.
yeah.
Yeah.
For something.
I mean, in many ways, this is a way to raise more money. Like, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
literally
good point.
open
And now
release.
she could need more.
No, you always
Alright.
need more money in AI.
I'll move on to, we'll move out of this and get up to the platform, or whatever's the next slide. And last call out, Mistral Open. This is in early July access, so it's just early access, just good to know. Okay, GPT platform updates, let's go over it. There's a lot of stuff here. Let's see which one we should start with. Some of these are big, some of them are small. I just wanted to capture to make sure that, because some of this stuff can fly under the radar.
The renames still.
So let's go through them one at a time. This one is what is this? Review pull requests and make follow-up edits without leaving Codex. Let's see if we can put this on the screen here. Let me start it from the beginning. So top right of the screen, we have, you open up right here. There's your PR. This is actually cool because in Claude you don't have this. They just put the link in the output and it will render as like a hyperlink that you can click on, but it will go to your default browser. In this case, they finally, Codex has baked it into the app. I think this is actually kind of cool.
Similar to their security bug fixes and their Codex security stuff looks similar.
Looks similar. Let's see what else. We have unified search. So you can search across your chats, just got faster and more powerful. Let's play the video. By the way, I'm just showing this because maybe you didn't see it and you're just gonna, we're all gonna learn together if you didn't see it, right? So what do we got here? On the phone,
Oh, interesting.
put in your search and search across everything. Cool. Okay, so that's there. What do we get? Web, iOS, and Android. Cool. All right, there it is. Let's see what else. Custom instructions. I think this is like less relevant to us in this room, but still good to know. So this is probably on the chat side that they've increased the instruction limit from 1,500 to 5,000 characters. Not a big deal, but I've actually in the last 2 weeks have interacted with more of the non-technical users of AI, and like they're so behind that they're still living in a world where this is important. So that's just good to know.
What's custom is instructions?
It's like the old originals, like both Claude and GPT before Codex existed, before Claude Code existed. Yeah, the system prompt on the chat level was finally upgraded.
There's actually Claude AI, the web version of that one, and chat UI. If you have a project, you can have an old school project with that.
Yeah.
They'll give you like you can have Claude AI, custom instructions for that project.
Yeah. Now they call it for Claude projects. Yeah, custom instructions. Yeah, and you can also do the file drop-in, context, stuff tied to the project. Really interesting stuff. Let's see what else we got. GPT available in WhatsApp again, because if I remember 2 years ago it was there, and then I think Mark Zuckerberg kicked them out. So in GPT, in WhatsApp, you can use GPT. I tried it on my phone. It didn't answer back. I don't know, it didn't work. But it's there. And maybe this expands into a greater feature set in the future. Maybe sort of like the Hermes from your phone sort of thing. It would be interesting to see if they do that. If they do, this would be like step one to that direction.
So right now it's really just ChatGPT. Like I ask it something, it gives me an answer. That's it.
It says, so firstly, here's the number, 1-800-CHAT-GPT. So add that to your phone. You can ask questions, you can upload images, send voice notes, create images, and use GPT in many languages. Now also on Kakao in South Korea and Viber in supported markets.
Phone it, can you?
Huh?
That would be
Oh, call it?
Yeah.
later maybe.
Why not?
You can call GPT Live on your phone. I don't know if you can call that number, but that's in the works.
If you didn't have data, this is the only way this is useful, right?
Yeah.
So like, actually like cloning would be hilarious.
It would be cool if they go in that direction. Yeah, I want to see where it goes. I'm not complaining about it. I think this is great. I think it's a good step. I think it's a very, very good step. What else we got? What is this? Oh, this is
Just the new models?
Yeah, this is actually kind of an old post, but because we didn't do last week, we will just go over it. So we all know, let me pre-frame here. GPT, Codex, two separate things in the GPT world. They've now realized that this is a problem. They need to somehow unify it. So their answer was work, GPT work.
Not co-work? Not just work.
I mean, they're all copying each other.
They also realized that it was a problem after they merged it, so Thibault said they're going to try to fix it now.
Yeah, so there's a couple of interesting things happening here. And Claude is having the same problem. So the problem is you have a large portion of the user base is familiar with chat. Or, so in the GPT world, they're familiar with like ChatGPT, the app, or the chat part. And they're just not familiar with Codex. It's like a whole different thing. And my understanding is they want to unify this. They want to bring it together. Probably because they want to kill chat. There's no reason to really keep it around. And there was the response from GPT was to create this GPT work. It's sort of like the in-between Codex and chat. So this was July 10th when this came out. And there has been a lot of back and forth since then, and even public decisions being made on Twitter as far as what they'll actually do. This makes me think about, there was an AMA done from the OpenAI team on Reddit, and there was this little bullet point that was made that didn't really seem to get a lot of traction, but to me it was like, holy shit, that's big. And what the OpenAI team basically said was, GPT work, when you connect it to like Excel plugins, Word, and just like doing your office stuff, that the model 5.6 is a step change compared to 5.5. It is like significantly better at this sort of activities. Maybe it's not as relevant for us here in the room, but for the rest of the world, that is monumental. That is huge. I think models becoming useful to the rest of the world is actually all about that and less about code.
Yeah.
Now, so part of that whole thing is like your harness needs to be able to utilize that. So this is where work is coming into play. And I think there were some other announcements tied to this. Let me see if I remember it correctly. If you know, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that chat for ChatGPT will be free. Or not, sorry, it won't allocate, it won't be...
you get a certain amount of tokens for free.
You get, yeah, so for chat, it doesn't like burn your usage rate. For work, it will. So they're sort of thinking in that direction as well. That's like a thing there. In Claude, that's not the case. If you use chat.
You also get a bunch of free Luna tokens. Like everybody gets free Luna tokens.
Oh, I didn't even know about
like
that.
Like a shit ton, like 100 million or something.
Did not know about that.
That's one of the reasons Luna also...
trading on the crypto markets yet?
No, so that's one of the reasons that like Luna is, you can if you want it, I guess.
There is
Luna also appears really cheap, is that it also is, like a lot of it is free. So like they put it in the AMA and it's somewhere in their documents. You get a certain amount of free tokens on everything because the free plans get access to free stuff. And so like if you're on even the $200 plan, you get like 100 million, like, because Luna is very it's a much smaller model, right?
Yeah, I just posted, I was gonna say, to me what's remarkable with this release is Luna, right? And I'll make a connection with what you're saying there. So most of the things people need to do are like agentic tasks.
Yeah.
Right, so if you want to, in the group, I posted a link. So the artificial analysis is showing, so what's interesting is that OpenAI is playing the game of good enough performance models for agentic use, like help me make my PPT slide proposal. Let me do a bunch of office tasks, like help me with my Excel sheet. These kinds of things, right? And you don't need the highest, smartest model for that, but it needs to be cost effective per task, yes?
Right.
And no other, well, Gemini I thought was gonna play in that space, but Google's not, it's expensive, So if you look at this chart here, on the green quadrant on the top left is the sweet spot, right? Where you have high performance for low cost. And you can see
Max is right.
Yeah, so you can see Luna is right there in the sweet spot.
Where is Luna?
Luna Max is
in the black, in the green, top left.
Go to the left 3 inches, up, go to the right, and then go down 1 inch.
There. Yeah?
This is Luna right here. Oops. Oh, what the heck?
So go back.
And so it's in the sweet quadrant side of
it's in a sweet
cost
spot.
And then also intelligence, right?
Yes, and so that's the play. Like strategically, OpenAI is making that play, And in my world, what I'm interested in is work type things, right? For professional services, for people who are getting shit done. They don't care about the highest, greatest, right? They just need unlimited tokens, or I don't need to think about it. And it's obvious to me that if I spend this money, it's worth 10 times whatever I get back, right? In terms of the time I save working on that spreadsheet or whatever the hell that is. Yeah. And that's where the Chinese models have been amazing, right? Because they filled this gap that was missing. Yes?
Yeah, you can see the Chinese models on the cost to effectiveness side, right on the left.
But you see, like,
5.2.
OpenAI is punching, they're highly competitive there. So now that puts me on the radar for me that I would want to.
Where these small models are useful is like structured output. So you're getting 10 million free tokens, and you just need to like burn through a bunch of documents and pull out the important parts. You're not going to use Sol for that.
Yeah, that's the problem is people are using Sol for that.
Well, that's insane.
Yeah, but that's because that's the default in the system.
Yeah.
Like CAME packaged as that.
So didn't all these 3 models start to confuse everybody? They're like, oh, I have to look up what model to use for what.
Oh,
Their old model stuff in Codex is worse. It's like
5.4 mini, 5.4.
Well, it used to be a version and then the medium, high, whatever. But now it's 3 different versions. You're like, which one am I routing to for what?
Well, like Claude, you have Haiku, you know what that does. You have Sonnet, you have Opus, now you have Fable, right? So you're familiar with that.
Yeah, but you know that.
I know,
Does
but
the secretary
normal people
All right, yeah.
and sure.
The secretary's on Sol high, max high, and like,
waiting. Like, with Codex previously, before this consolidation, you had like 5.4 mini, 5.5, and like.
But most people were using, so what he's trying to say is people use 5.5 in the 4 configurations, right?
Yeah.
So you had really 4 configurations that most people were using. We have 27 configurations now, plus all the old models that people were using, right?
So like, Luna is kind of replacing 5.4 mini in
100%.
Cost and tokens, right? So like, okay, that's your Haiku.
Yeah.
Right? And your other one's
if they would have said mini, I would have been.
They didn't really explain it that way, though.
I know.
Yeah.
The names are horrible. I don't know why they picked crypto names. Cryptos of past.
Well, they have a whole marketing team. They pay $1 billion. They have to do some work, right? That was actually my most surprising thing. This whole thing was that the entire company was using this way ahead of time, and they were like, "Oh, man, this is great. It's awesome. There's no problems." And they roll it out, and they're like, "Oh, where do these problems come from?" Like, because everyone at OpenAI is just like a yes man. So.
There's a slightly better chart than this one, the Pareto chart from Arena. I shared it in the chat, and then they have all the models, all the configurations, and the price on them. They're still kind of catching up on it, but you can see the intelligence on the top and the cost. So which model is all the way on the top in each category. Easier to kind of understand, but it gives you all the configurations also.
Also, Luna Max, if you want to run it Ultra and it actually work, set the settings to where basically all your subagents or custom subagents are Luna Max. and then you can use Sol, medium, or high, you'll actually get the same pace as you used to get with 5.5. Because LunaMax is just not going to add additional stuff. It just doesn't. It doesn't have the capability to do it. And so it's going to just execute on what you need, and then anything that breaks or elsewise, 5.6 will catch.
Why are the model providers like OpenAI and Anthropic, why don't they route to a certain model based on the query to save costs? Because it's like, you know, if it's a simple question, you've got to set to Fable.
Auto routing is the weirdest thing. I don't know why people don't, like I have to build it custom on every single harness, but it's also really hard to auto route because you need a decider.
Yeah.
Technically you need a decider to then be in the middle and you slow it down. So then you have another model deciding.
I think it's definitely how you upset your customer base.
Yeah.
We could see on Fable's side where like people get downgraded to Opus and they're like super mad. You know, don't.
You should be able to turn it on or off. You know,
That's a good point.
Or write your own CL file for it.
Yeah, you kind of have to build your own. Like I got tired of the auto routing, or sorry, the down routing on from Fable, and you just put like 2 lines into your Claude MD. Anything security-wise, anything like I only do cybersecurity. Like you just automatically route to 4.8 and don't read it, and have another 4.8 agent read it. You will never have it down route again because literally it's just if you mention anything security-wise or if you're working on a sandbox or anything. And it's really stupid you have to do that, but
It just seems like if you're a CTO, you know, 1,000 people company, you want to control this very specifically
Yeah.
to save money.
Yeah.
And I don't want to know if anyone knows if anyone's building this infrastructure.
I use.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of routing options out there on the market already.
OpenRouter started to do this, they
Yeah.
have this auto routing feature,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work the way it should work.
yeah, the problem you have with auto routing too is that like all model we talked about this last week, Claude and then also Codex. When you switch to thinking, it will recache and it costs you extra money. And so they don't really explain this to you. So if you switch, like the only one that doesn't like fast mode, you turn fast mode on and off, it just charges more for fast mode. But if you change from medium to high, you get charged immediately for a new write, right? And so auto routing only really works in conversationally, and so or if you're routing 2 sub-agent models, and that's just a routing table.
So like a really good way is use Fable as an orchestrator, and you tell it like don't use Fable to do the work, like use different models and different effort levels depending on the task. Fable's quite good at doing that. The problem is like if you say never use Fable, it will never use Fable. So
You have to say what to use it.
yeah, you really don't need Fable for a lot of the work. If it's orchestrated and thinking about it, it will route the work to an appropriate model. That's like a pattern I've been using a lot and pretty good at figuring it out.
You also have, I found the GPT series works really well with Fable on the orchestrator side, because Fable will miss things inherently. It's good, but it will miss things. GPT 5.5 or 5.6 does catch bugs. The problem is it will keep making theoretical scenarios to like, oh, this might work, oh, there's another P2, another P1, and Fable will catch it and say, well, no, we don't, this is not like that, so I'm going to ignore those bugs. Yeah, you have to kind of.
I want to mention something about the GPT platform, whatever the frickin' name they called it. I like the fact that they have my GPT chats in it now.
Oh yeah,
I used to have to go to the web interface, back in the day, do some meta prompting maybe, copy that over, and then put it in there. But now I can open up the chat, I can see my GPT chats, and then I can also hit the assign button to create a task out of that, which throws it into Codex, which is kind of I mean, I don't know how much I'll use it, but I like having that ability to have it in there.
I like it, but they've unified the memory. And so, like now my Codex can search my ChatGPT messages memory. Totally, like what I use ChatGPT for is, and like search is not at all what I do coding wise.
Fair.
I don't want any of that to show up in the memory.
annoying.
No, it's the most annoying thing is they've unified the memory now. So it's like, oh, I'm searching your memories, and it's like, oh, you really, like, you want McDonald's? No, don't. That has nothing to do with this project. Like, I think that's part of why the model gets confused a little bit. It's like this, they're just not connected.
I think it's
nice
just that.
to have that in there.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice.
I think this is that 1 week, 2 week sort of tension that we're seeing. So I opted to like basically not open GPT for the first week. I knew there was going to be a whole lot of problems.
I wish I would have listened when you said that.
I remember on the first day there was so if you had downloaded GPT on your computer previously in Codex, you had this double icon issue.
Two apps.
Two apps, yeah.
Classic ChatGPT and regular GPT.
Yeah, so all these like problems that are now being worked out. Okay, I'm gonna move to let's see, we have 20 minutes. Okay, we have 30 minutes. Let's do Anthropic updates, platform updates. That, by the way, that was all the updates from the GPT side.
There were sites and a bunch of other.
Yeah, there was sites and a bunch of other stuff.
Unified plugins, sites beta. Well, sites actually came out weeks ago and we showed it, and I think it just didn't get traction whatsoever. So they sort of maybe remarketed it out that, hey, you can now do sites, which is equivalent to live artifacts on Claude side, effectively the same thing. And then unified plugins is GPT evolving their plugin system, and I like the direction that they're going in. It's actually pretty cool. It's not the same as Claude.
The iterative one is actually really nice. The iterative design, where it shows you here's 3 options and it continues to iterate, is really nice. I actually like it better than what Claude does. The problem is if you have any skills around design or anything like that, it breaks the workflow and it won't actually show you correctly. So disable any design skills and ask it to build a site, and it'll give you multiple iterations. It'll keep iterating, keep working through, and it just keeps, it's actually really nice.
Yeah, I think we get 3 right out of the box.
Yeah, it gives you 3 out of the box, and then it keeps iterating and looping on each one of those designs. And that's one thing that I think if you had that same workflow in Claude, it'd be awesome. But that's where it gets competitive on the Claude side for design, is it just, it's able to iterate several times through, and then, and it also uses Image Gen 2. And while it's doing it, so it uses the Image Gen 2 sometimes for a sample, and then tries to fix on that. So they did build it's an inner workflow. You can't, it's not a skill, it's a trained, hidden workful, but you can only access it if you don't have any other design skills, because they will override it.
How do you invoke it? Like,
you say, it's a hidden regex on, it's basically, let's build a website. And then it will say, okay, cool. It gives you a warning prompt and says, this will use a ton of fucking tokens. Are you sure you want to do this? And you say, yeah, sure. And it's just, there's several hidden skills and hidden workflows that are built in, but you can't have any skills that contradict or, it just breaks them. So.
You're seeing all those GPT warnings on every page now in big red. Like if you have allow access for everything, it's like, you are in allow access mode. Please,
The Cloud design is super token hungry.
I use Open Design.
Yeah, Open Design is way better than, and actually it works really good with 5.6. So.
All right, I'm going to move to Anthropic stuff. We still have a whole bunch of other slides. We might just move a little bit faster here. So Anthropic side, let's cover what came out here. In-app browser. So if you're using Claude Code on the desktop, you can now finally, Codex had this for a long time, but with the Claude Code desktop, you can finally go to google.com. Right? Before you could only browse your local dev servers. So this is just something that they've needed for a long time. It's only available on the Claude Code desktop. It's not available on Cowork. It's not available on the chat side. Chat. So that's.
It will also take your cookies from Chrome. So it will literally, it'll pop up and say, hey, I want to access your cookies. It'll import everything from your own Chrome, multiple profiles. And this came out yesterday in the update. And so basically it just pulls everything in, because the problem they had was they gave it access, but you had to log into stuff. It said, no, we'll just pull all your cookies. And
if you use it, there's a setting at the top right that says share session state, keep separate per session, or not at all. So go look at those toggles. Other platform updates from Anthropic, we have the code review skill that came out a month ago or so. Is now tied to effort level. It's just an FYI. This skill was reworked 3 times. It just became more and more confusing over time. It's a native skill from Anthropic. Now if you use it, you can supply the effort level, so it's just sort of a little update in FYI. Let's see, we have checkup skill. This is actually in Claude Code. One of the oldest skills in there is doctor/doctor. They rebranded it with the new name. If you run it, it does all of these things. I ran it and it corrected it. It did some deduping and optimizing on the auto memory. So it was worth it. It was worth it to run once. If you've never run it before, I would just say run it once, have it submit a PR so you can see the changes. It's just pretty cool to know.
It needs a memory or Claude MDs, because it only says Claude MDs there.
It cleaned up my memory file. It actually defragged it and
yeah, because memory, Claude doesn't give a shit. It'll just use it as a pen only, pretty much. It's
Right, just keep dumping stuff. Like
Yeah.
You have this so what this will do is sort of go through all that, dedupe,
Basically,
tracing
it
index.
was CloudMD, like
Yeah.
there used to be like CloudMD skill, which was quite good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is now rolled into that.
Okay.
This is now rolled into
They also added a memory hook. So if the memory is over a certain size, the model will get hooked on it, and it'll say, hey, memory file is this size now. Can I clean it up?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, pretty good to run. Pretty good to run. Let's see what else we got. Oh, this is a link to the change log. We used to talk about changes like this a lot, and then I stopped doing it because it was too much, yeah.
yeah.
But since I already opened it, we'll just do a really fast one. So fork mode, so /fork, now copies your conversation into a new background session. So if you're using Claude Agents View, you finally get the fork done as a new session. You don't have to like tell Claude do BG, with fork. And then now there's a new skill called subtask, which replaces the original the original way that mechanism worked. So the original way was if you did /fork, it would open up an agent, it would open up a sub-agent, copy the cache, perform its duty, it would be called a directive, and it would report back to the main session. Now they've finally segregated this. I can finally delete some skills I had to solve this problem. Let's see, what else? Oh, I threw this in, I just thought it would be funny. I don't know if anyone knows about this. I found out this week that in China they're doing...
Yeah, they even
That's
decapitated
hilarious.
one of them.
I wish I could play
One
the
lost
audio.
its head.
Oh, man, awesome.
Did you do the hotpot video
It
too?
was in Shenzhen.
They do it in San Francisco as well. There's a Fight Club. They did US versus China,
Yeah,
different robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta share that link, that's awesome.
So these same robots, they don't have any like safety mechanisms on them. So in China yesterday, there was a video went viral. They were using one for like a dancing robot, and so basically it like broke the table and almost like hurt someone badly. And so the Chinese government's now talking about regulating this kind of like, because they literally they can just break your arm, they can kill you easily.
Super dangerous. Look how fast these things
Yeah.
They twist so quickly, they got a lot of velocity behind their movements.
Where'd you find this? I need this link.
In China, on every corner now.
URKL.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Yeah,
can run it
I want to know,
ultimate
so China's like 10 years in the future right
Yeah,
now, and we
they
didn't know this, and I want to know what's happening in China, so this is a big deal, right? Like, it's already happening, right? This is like, what is that movie called? Something Steel?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, with Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Is this the same robot though? I'm wondering if it's
It's
in
a
this Fight League,
Unitech,
if it's
yeah.
always the same robot program.
No, so these robots are like 10K. You can buy, like they're using these all over China.
These are the two of the same robots skinned differently though. That's what I'm wondering.
Oh.
Like,
Could be, I don't know, but
looks like it.
But it was a viral video, I caught it, and I was like, you know what, it's good for us to know that the world is changing and in what ways, so there you have it.
That's dystopia.
But that's why China needs regulations, all right? Like China's working on the regulation side because these are all over the place. You can just buy them.
Yeah.
And the Chinese have so much extra money compared to like what is it? I don't know what the term is. Extra income, disposable income versus every other country in the world. The average person has significantly more. So like they're just like buying robots and houses everywhere. So
I mean, the food delivery is pretty cool. They come, like Grab will actually come to your door with a robot and give you your food. And then
drone.
manipulate the elevators and get out, and that's pretty good.
I want to have more China content in here because they are so far ahead in the future that we're sort of in a bubble. We're not seeing that, so I will bring that more to our Saturdays. Okay, I'm gonna move on because of time.
Can we get back to the Cloud Code stuff, like we rushed through it? There is something I wanted to say about it.
Which one?
The Cloud Code one. I mean, the one before that.
Yeah.
The one with
Features?
Cloud Code changes.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else experienced that. I personally got really pissed this week with Cloud Code, with the auto updates, because what happened was I mean, they add some new feature, which is good. It's slash command or skill or whatever. You can use them, you cannot use them. My problem is that they sometimes add implicit bundled stuff that I really don't want, and it completely destroys workflows that already work.
Yeah.
So what happened, I mean, I had two different things happen only this week. One thing is, okay, so I do this task and I get a PR from my agent, and suddenly I see this new file in the PR, a verify skill with all this hallucinated nonsense about how to verify the project. And I'm like, what? I didn't ask for that. And I asked my model, like, why did you do that? Because you asked me to. Can you show me the exact instruction that told you to do that? And it gave me some, a bunch of prompting that got bundled in. You have to create a verify skill and create a, whole process of how to verify that the backend works. And it hallucinated all kinds of shit. And I'm like, where did that come from? And then I checked more, thoroughly, and they have some stuff they changed. They added a verify skill and a skill generator and how to do it.
Yeah, you're running into the problem. So actually, Jordan brought this up about like how artifacts, for example, is now if you're in the Claude Code harness and you say the word artifacts, you're now likely going to trigger the artifact tool, whereas before maybe it wouldn't. Then you had an artifacts folder, which meant something different to your system, and so the verify skill, which is it's a good point because so the verify skill, the description on it is like if you set the effort to really high, it's going to hallucinate. They even tell you that in the thing. But now there's a problem of like, if you have some trigger word that summons the skill, which is what happened in your case, it's bad. Because it's like, you didn't ask for it, who knows what effort level it ran at, we know it's a skill known to produce hallucinations. So that's annoying.
My issue is that how they push the update so silently and implicitly.
But you can just turn off auto
feature
update.
and told me you can toggle this on, you can toggle this off. I would accept it. I can not use it, but they just push it into my workflow, and it happens, and I see it only after the task, was running and wasting my tokens and wasting my time. And right now, there is no good way to just disable this thing.
So you can roll back. So one thing I would recommend just implicitly, like Anthropic this last week, I think because of the Codex stuff, they've been testing a lot of new features. They've broken cache, a few things so I usually just keep a stable state and I don't update for like a week or two, unless it's like a big model update because, I rolled back, we were talking this earlier, like I said, they added a couple bugs and I just rolled back to the last stable build that I was using and I just turn off auto update for everything and then just keep it stable because everyone's going to be, they're rolling out Opus 5, whatever, right? So there's just going to be all kinds of weird new things they test. And if you want stability, just don't have auto update. And then, give, like we were talking about earlier, like, I wish I had not touched Codex for like 10 days. I wasted so much fucking time. And then why be a beta tester? Just wait till everything is stable. Like, there was no reason for me to move off 5.5. In fact, I would have made a lot more progress if I kept all those presets on a stable build.
Yeah, so the matter is, even if I disable auto update, which is good for stability, let's say, okay, now I have some free time, let's update Cloud Code to the latest version. Now I know that because of the way they work, I have to actually
spend several hours
stuff again and benchmark and see, did they break my workflow again? Did they add some stuff I don't want? It's kind of messy. It's not a stable surface. It's not dependent.
But it was stable before you updated, right?
Stable.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, we're engineers, right? So think about it like an engineer would look at it. I'm updating a library. It's a major library or something for my whole system. Should I probably just roll it out and not test it? No, so treat it as like you have a stable build, stay on the stable build.
But they increased a minor version. It's not like Cloud Code 3 against Cloud Code 2. They just
Right, but did you look at the changelog? You didn't look at the changelog, right? Like, I have the same problem too. Sometimes I'm trying to tell you as like an engineer, don't auto update and don't update without looking at the changelog, and then you'll catch all the stuff, and then save the updates for I set 3 hours aside. This is how we have to think now in how the harnesses work and everything we do. Okay, every Sunday I'm going to update everything, and I'm going to spend 3 hours looking, benchmarking, all that, because that's how fast everything is moving. I'm not saying, I understand that's the best way to do it.
I want to get to, we're going to try to just run through all the rest of the slides really quickly. There might be some useful stuff in here for you to know about because it's just things that happened, and if you didn't know they happened, it's better to know that they did. So once again, on the Anthropic side, artifacts now support public sharing
and multiplayer editing in Claude Code, and they can also be created with Claude Tag. So that's an update. Here's another update. This one I think is really, really useful. So artifacts in Claude Code can now use MCP connectors. What that means is that if you create an artifact that pools data using your MCP connector, that artifact in the JavaScript has a call to that MCP connector, which means it's now like written as code. This is really, really useful for live artifacts. It's now supported in Claude Code. Before it was only supported in Cowork. So this feels like a correction that they finally have made. What else we got? Cowork lands on the web. So Cowork originally did not work on the web, did not work on your phone, and now it does. So when you use Cowork, it will spawn a cloud session. It can spawn a cloud session. You can also opt to do a local. So this is just a step in the right direction. If you're a Cowork user, or if you're in a company where everyone is a Cowork user, you can tell them that this now exists. I think it's great. It's got all the connectors that your account has. So connectors are account bound, and they're now available from Cloud Sessions. So that means Cloud Sessions on Cowork, it's available. Cloud Sessions on Claude Code, it's available. And any session that's local is also available.
I want to ask something to people who use either Claude Code Desktop or Cowork like this.
Yes.
Does it have an app server feature like Codex? Because the way I work is I have this sandbox. I don't work on my host. I want my agent to run only in the sandbox, like a containerized machine. And can I connect, desktop app to that sandbox instead of having it run on the host? Does it have that kind of feature?
Yeah, it does.
Claude has like a lot of, let's say, offerings. So in the Cowork side, it's always running in a sandbox. That's a sandbox that the company has made. It's not a true sandbox. It's their version of sandbox.
Yeah.
But on Claude Code side, there is a SSH action.
You can connect by SSH, like if you actually want to run on either a VPS or another machine, you can use the desktop app to just go there
point to that.
not work on your host.
Yeah, that's an option. And then there's also cloud but yeah, Cloud has tied to what's called cloud environments, right? Where you can set up the environment for the cloud sessions. That's all configurable. That one's like really old. They haven't changed it since it came out.
Yeah, it hasn't been updated.
It's just like a Git proxy thing with a server, a container that's spun up with like 12 services. Somewhere in the documentation explains about that.
Codex is moving fully to remote cloud-based, where they think people will prefer to not host it on their machine. I personally prefer not to host it on my machine because I have like terabytes of trees and stuff. So.
All right, so let's keep going through. I think this is the last Anthropic update. This was introducing the new way to reflect how you use Claude. Your monthly recaps show when you use Claude the most. This is like it says that there's a button that should show, I don't have it, called Reflect, which I guess would give you some review, a dashboard for you to see what you did during the week. The option hasn't existed for me. If you see it,
I've not seen it.
Yeah, if you see it the next week, I'd love to hear about it on the next Saturday.
It's kind of like a reflection of their internal analytics. It's like, this is what we're tracking on you and how you use it, and now we're telling you how we track you.
But I think the idea though is to tell you, your tokens are being spent in this way, here's where they're going, here's a report of what you spent this week or over the month. Okay, this was just a funny one. So there's that AI influencer, Matthew something, starts with letter B. He had his computer nuked because 5.6 when it came out was RMF happy, and it was deleting. It was like something like 7% of users were getting their systems deleted because Codex would, I don't know, just decide to run RMF for some reason. This turned into like a really big controversy or drama, and there were a lot of responses from the OpenAI team. This is one of them, and they're talking about all the steps that they're doing to mitigate this. I think it's still not fully solved.
It's a model problem. When they released their own benchmark, 5.5 versus 5.6, when they compared it in their own published paper, 10 times more likely to do destructive actions. Wow. So.
Yeah, this is wild. This is absolutely, so this is wild that, for one, if you're not using the auto classifiers, you're playing with fire, I think. If you're using dangerously skipped permissions, you are definitely playing with fire. You should not be doing this anymore on any platform.
Well, they've added a bunch of new guardrails to even stop you from, like computer use is broken now because of it. So they added in like permanent skill and guardrails on computer use. So like even, it literally says in the skill itself, even if the user told you to do this, even if they authorize this, you need to run it through a classifier and also ask for permission. Like, so it just totally broke computer use.
It's asking for permission a lot now.
Yeah, it asks for a lot of permissions because that forces it to do a fresh call and it can go through the classifier. So.
Yeah, these Guardian classifiers are going to be more important. The guy who got his machine RMF was running on dangerously skip, which is just, you shouldn't be doing this anymore. Okay, next, because we have 5 minutes left. There was a slide I dedicated towards the usage resets. There were so many, it almost seems like it's now a marketing.
They did one just now.
They did one just now? Wow.
Just in the last 30
This
minutes.
was GPT.
Codex. I didn't announce it because I want people to focus on the meeting, but.
Well, that's interesting.
More resets for me, man. That's awesome.
But they're not banking them this week. They're just doing a fresh reset.
So you basically can get a Codex subscription, maybe not the most expensive one because you don't need to. They're going to keep resetting it. So I know some people are thinking that way. This slide covers all of the tweets. There were so many tweets on this, but because of time, I'm going to move on.
9 million.
Yeah, so OpenAI has grew tremendously because since the 5.6 release, so this slide is just trying to capture that their users, the number of users went up, but they're at close to 9 million, if not already there now. And that's just a big jump. 7 million plus, I think when the model came out, they were at 7 million. I think that's what the actual story is. And now they're at 9 million, so just a big jump.
Is that because they unified the names?
No, that's how I was making a joke. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Well, they have 1 billion users on chat. So.
What we know is that as like the days were going by, they were just like getting more and more users, and they were actively tweeting about it. Like, oh, we just gained a million new users in the last 3 days. So I wanted to sort of talk about that story in this slide. There's also another story in here about this. What is this piece of hardware from OpenAI?
Oh, their little Stream Deck thing?
Yeah. So it's like a $200.
Yeah.
Do you know about it? So it's just a bunch of buttons. Looks like a cyber deck if you're familiar with cyberpunk culture, and you can.
It's a macro tool.
You can like enable whisper flow and stuff like that too, so you don't have to. You can be not at your computer and just hitting certain things.
Like if you know macro keyboard, like you just create macros in your own little side keyboard.
Approve permissions button.
Yeah.
But you can buy this from it's like $10 from China too. So.
Yeah, it's 260 or something.
No, I mean, I had a friend buying this. He has too much money, whatever. It's 4,400 baht shipping and 7,800 baht.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, no.
There we go.
It's 5,000 baht to get it to Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can literally get this on Lazada for like $10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever.
But you're right. It's a
Auto
macro
hotkey.
thing.
It's just a macro tool.
It just
With
has
hooks.
custom logos on it.
Yeah,
Custom keys.
Last year there was a big trend on these sort of custom devices, and then it died out. I remember
It was for auto approving permissions with Claude. That's
Yeah, it was
all
like
that
3 buttons.
little button. Yeah, auto approve.
I honestly, if you buy a mouse with the extra keys, I have one that just like says the word continue, and I have one for enter. I literally have 2 keys: continue, enter.
That's funny, they name your mouse.
Yeah.
The 30 buttons on your mouse. That's actually pretty smart.
No, it's actually way better than this. The mouse is way better. So.
Don't need the keyboard anymore.
Costs 400 baht.
The mouse.
400 baht for
I knew
continue
this.
button and enter.
I knew this.
Oh, I wish I put a slide for the voice.
Oh, GPT Live?
No, that's, you guys, I'll get a picture in a second.
I guess technically, maybe all you need is your phone and that's a shove it in your bag.
Yeah,
That's all I talk to.
I'll show another product that maybe is the be all end all. I'll grab it in a second.
Is it a cell phone?
No, it's
It's
talking
hooked up
to.
directly to Home
I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah.
So moving on, this is incredibly interesting. So Boris Cherny, head of Cloud Code, the guy releases tweets that almost always look AI written, but this week he released 2 that I thought were extremely valuable, and probably the most valuable is this one right here. This is probably super valuable no matter what platform you're using, no matter what model. He talks here about, let me just read it out. I talk to engineers at other companies every day and hear the same thing. One person is 10xing their output with Claude, but the rest of the team hasn't caught up. So what he has here, let me open this, is a big spreadsheet that basically says, so let's focus on the second column here, agents. If the idea here is like, if you have 0 agents running, that means you don't know how to use AI. This is what it looks like. This column says, this is what it looks like, here's what your bottleneck is, and to go from 0 to 1 agents, you know, he has like this little sort of plan there. Not relevant for those of us in this room, but what is relevant is how do you go from, if you're running 1 agent, you know, your one-on-one session with Claude to 10, how do you do that? Boris has basically categorized and said companies are sitting at different levels on this chart, individuals are sitting at different levels on this chart, and he's got it all the way up to 4 levels. So let's walk through it. Going from 10 agents, you managing 10 agents to managing 100, he has it written out what it takes to go from 10 to 100, why you're not there, what the problems are.
Money.
Yeah, it's funny, that's the one that's
10 to
away from
100.
there. Good point nonetheless. And then there's also how to go from 100 to 1,000. So I think what he's showing here is how within Anthropic, they have reached this, what they're calling AI native category. And it's if you sort of read the details here, it's incredibly interesting to see what they're saying is like, well, here's how you go from one tier to the next. So if you're looking to basically upskill yourself or figure out where you are, I would look at this chart. I think it's platform agnostic. It probably doesn't matter that you're using Claude. So this is just really useful for engineers.
Companies are using, this is an old trend that I'm seeing more and more now. Originally I saw it with a security company that moved more towards like agentic security reviews. And the CEO went through all his employees and had a table like this and just fired everybody who was not willing to move up a step. And then recently I saw another girl running some company, same thing. She makes the interviewees go in and like use AI in front of her, and she judges them on a scale like this. Now Boris is doing. This is becoming a trend on like who to hire and who to fire if you're moving towards like an AI specific company.
This is actually pretty cool. I think
Yeah.
this is cool, yeah.
Is it, that creates like people that are just are gonna hate AI, and just like, you know, it doesn't make people want to be like better at AI. It just creates like this dichotomy of like these Luddites.
The CEO in the security company did this specifically to weed out old engineers who refused. He gave them time. He's like, here's where you are. You need to get to here after 2 months. And if you give me pushback, like we're moving in this direction with or without you. It was a good way for him.
I agree with it. I'm just saying that like as a society, I see us like starting to branch off into like these Luddites that are just like incapable of using AI, and then they partly on their ability, but also now they've been denied access somewhere, and so like they're like beating up robots in the streets and stuff. So
There are 2 worlds. I saw Tesla's tweet last week, and then they said like, okay, $200 limit on these, and then on the other side, Meta, your manager will walk over to your desk, hey, I see your token consumption is too low. What are you doing? So there's both sides.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this, you know, 110 to 100 to 1,000, even within Anthropic, I would wonder the non-devs, the non-technicals, like their salespeople, their whatever, yeah, where are they at? I wonder.
Yeah.
You know, like are salespeople at 1,000?
Yeah. But also, I'm thinking in Codex too, like Codex, everybody uses Codex. I don't think everyone's using Codex. I think that's something they woke up to this last week. When they're like, everybody in our company is using our new models and everything. It's like, no, they're not. Like, you know.
So that's another like conversation, right? In the sense of saying, where are the devs on the curve, on the adoption curve, and then where are the rest of the departments, even if you're 100% AI pilled.
I would love to know, within the big labs, how skilled are they, you know, what's the data coming back with?
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting interesting story. Like if 80% comes back, it's like they're all fucking skilled. It's like, oh shit. Or like 10% becomes unskilled.
Well, apparently Anthropic is.
No, it's not true though. Like, different people have different styles. It's like, because I've listened to a bunch of interviews from engineers at Anthropic, and some of them are like, I just like to have my 2 agents I deal with, and like I can do a lot with them. It's like, who needs fucking, now maybe on the back end they have some agents, but like this is really a vanity measure
But
to a certain degree.
See, but that's also like you have to how you consider because like I use one agent.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, but I also ran 3,000 agents this week. So it's like, how do you orchestrate? Like that's the difference between like the engineering scale too. Like you have the normie scale, the engineers, and then I have a ton of engineers that ask me like, how do you run 3,000? Because I have one agent with a whole system.
Yes,
I manage
that's the way that I would imagine.
Yeah.
So even if you're using a one orchestrator pattern to many agents, you actually would fit, I think, level 2 or level 3, so that's still valid. It's just, there's definitely a difference between your typical office worker who opens up Claude, uses chat, has no idea what they're doing, and you tell them like, hey, have you used Coworker? And they're like, what's that? Like, we're trying to figure out
how do you
who are these people, how do you categorize them?
And how do we ostracize them from society?
Alright, I'm gonna move on, I'm gonna keep going. We're a little bit out of time, but I think this is just, we can still squeeze it in. Grok with the 4.5 is out. This is supposedly on par with Opus 4.8. It's also cheaper, and it's now open source as of yesterday or 2 days ago. So they're going to just completely open source the whole thing. I would not be surprised if it turns out it looks exactly like Claude Code. My suspicion is they copied the Claude Code harness when it got leaked. Yep.
Wasn't their harness like leaking
like-
all our storing data and like a
Oh yeah, they're stealing it.
Yeah. So
I do like
Grok
Grok
privacy
builds
controversy.
Rust.
If you used Grok before a couple days ago, it was sending everything over to their servers, including environment variables and token your API keys and stuff. Elon went out and was like, he said that they are basically deleting all their data, all of it. It's a pretty wild tweet to read. As a precautionary measure, all user data that was uploaded to SpaceX AI before now will be completely and utterly deleted. Zero anything whatsoever.
If you believe it.
If you believe it.
I would say Elon probably is going to take a shotgun and like burn the server. Like he's that kind of, you know.
Yeah, he seems to be on the, yeah, I don't disagree at all.
The only hack for, or the benefit of this one, for sort of than coding is if you're paying for a Twitter API for the data, you can get it for free with this. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are consolidating now their subscriptions, so there is that I didn't get it here, you're right, that is happening.
I actually really like their CLI harness too. Like Grok builds harness is really good.
I've heard a couple.
It's written in Rust. It's really tight.
Has anyone built anything on the Grok yet?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I was going to pitch like this week. I was like, it'd be cool if like people, like when we talk about the models, like did anyone build anything like, and then have maybe Fable like orchestrate and say, hey, is it any good?
I do want to do like demos and stuff, but I usually need to hear from, if you, I want you guys to submit it, but tell me before, and because like, you know, it would be like, yeah, 10 minutes, I think we should 10, 15 minute demo, I would love it.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
always open to it, but
maybe around where everybody just says what they're working at, because also, you know, when people hear, oh, he's working on a chat system as well, you know, it's kind of cool to maybe catch people later and talk to them about it.
I want to.
Maybe nicer is if we can do a small recording in the chat and send it, then we can.
Oh, that works too. Yeah.
Oh, dude, even an Excel sheet. Hold on. What if we had an Excel?
So one of the things I'm going to introduce to the meetup is a little app that you guys can like submit your questions like while the session is live. You can upload, and it'll be used by the live stream as well. That's one. And then the other one is I want to avoid like where we go around the entire room because then that's like that takes up the whole 2 hours.
Yeah, just intros would be.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure it out slowly, but what, like I know, we've done demos before, usually you just come tell me, and I'm like, cool, I'll greenlight it,
What do you think about like a Google sheet that people submit to, like a form with like your repos and stuff? I don't have to read it. I'm not going to read it. You're not going to read it. I'm going to ask my AI to look at it and tell me who should I talk to.
Yeah, but we don't know the names, right? Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like I don't need your name. I'm just gonna like it's gonna give me your Twitter or whatever, like just like profiles.
Yeah, but if you want to talk in person, that's just what I mean. After a meetup or something like that, you know what I mean?
I mean, I would just hit you on WhatsApp maybe, like your WhatsApp.
Yeah, yeah, but some people like personal conversation too.
So.
All right, last updates, and then I'll end it here. So I'll just rapid fire all this. There is FDE news. Some companies were made owed with Anthropic and Blackstone, Microsoft. More investment basically in this FDE thing. It's more confirmation that your job is not gone. If you're an engineer, you're going to have a role. You can make money and so on. So the whole Doom stuff around that doesn't really apply anymore. That's my take on that. There are some other interesting updates. 1Password did some releases that are, one is specifically for Claude. If you use 1Password to manage your agents, there are some pretty useful tools there. So another feature came out from them on this. You can check that out. DoorDash CLI and Notion OS. I won't get into it because we're out of time. Bunch of reading material. It's on the slides. The slides are public. I'll share it with the chat. JSpace from Anthropic. This is a pretty kick-ass video. If you didn't get to see this, we don't have time. I will not play the whole thing right now. The point is that they inspected Claude and they found all this really cool stuff. It is actually really exciting and really interesting. It's covered in this 5-minute video. It's called JSpace. I wish we had more time to talk about it, but we don't. More news from Anthropic. The guy from DeepMind wrote an essay. I didn't read it, but he did. He wrote an essay. I don't know. You can check it out. And then a bunch of other updates. Better Off joins Vercel. Manus auto-published. More Manus stuff. Higgs Field app. Okay, and that's it. All right. So that covers our meeting. And then Ian, you sent me. What is this for? This is the
Friday meeting.
By the way, go see Odyssey. It's fucking awesome. IMAX, the movie.
Oh, it's right now? Is it?
Yeah, I saw it last night.
Yeah, it's at Central Festival, right?
Central.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
3 hours, but fucking awesome. Christopher Nolan style all the way.
Which theater did you? Was it here? Maya or
Central, not the airport.
I saw it in Maya. It was great.
But the IMAX theater is only.
Central Festival has the biggest IMAX.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Anyway. Well, maybe we'll put if people want to go see it later afterwards, maybe.
So real quick, Ian, this is next week, Friday. This coming Friday, we will do a Claude event here in this room. That's what this update is about. That will be in the WhatsApp chat, and that's it. We're done. Meeting is done. I gave all the updates.
2 weeks in one.
2 weeks in one.
Are we still meeting next Saturday?
Next Saturday is still happening, yes.
Probably 40%.
Oh, there's a
But
wait
yeah,
list.
5 tickets, 3 seats, right?
For the crowd.
IMAX, you want to make sure you're. What's the right level? We were in.
No, you're not. That's not the right one.
And that was like perfect.
Did you post it?
No, we didn't even.
Not yet, right? Yeah.
Covered everything really well.
They had to actually develop new technology.
Covered everything really well.
Yeah.
It's a new format too that I wanted.
They're so loud, so like small.
I will. I'm gonna update the pin message.
He had to
They're trying to.
IMAX to like build a housing.
I was actually surprised people were more like negative on
Nick, I like the upgrade on the slides.
The slides look good, actually.
Slides.
It looks, if you have a 1080p monitor, PCC 720, it looks really, really good on a big monitor. And I'm gonna start like.
Can you load it into the chat?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So everything will be like everything is getting automated. This YouTube video that we're shooting,
Put the new one in.
be in the slides like there's a link below this video. All the data will be free and public. I'll also have like an 11 Labs clone voice where I'm gonna.
You're getting the content.
Are you going to have the AI run the
Yeah,
meetup?
I can see it.
The whole meetup is be ran by AI?
It's 3 hours and I didn't feel like.
Actually, like
It already almost is.
yeah, most of it is. Yes. Yeah.